Thank you so much, Amy. And hi to everyone from one side of the room to the other. It's fabulous to see all your faces on a dreary Sydney day. Well done for coming out. Sometimes when it rains a bit, you're always worried who's actually going to make it. But so you've already got one tick in terms of your personal branding and getting out and getting your name known, which is actually networking and meeting some new people. So well done. Pat yourself on the back for that one. I've got a 45-minute session, which has actually come from a 3-hour workshop. So we've got a lot to pack into our time together, particularly over lunch. But I also ask that you make sure that you get involved as well, because we're going to actually be doing some of it at the same time, not just listening. Okay? The session is called Me Inc. and Powerful Professional Branding. And we call it Me Inc. I'll let you know a little bit later on why and why we like that particular concept. But I know that you've all had a chance to meet a few new people around the table, and hopefully you've been noticing a little bit about those people and how they're presenting themselves, and potentially how you would describe them as a brand already, and then vice versa for yourself too. So we'll turn our little special one on here, because the world is becoming very noisy. The amount of information that we get bombarded with every day is huge. 100,000 words every day coming in front of us that we're listening to, hearing, reading. So if you're trying to get noticed in amongst that noise, it can be difficult. There's people who are competing in the same area as you every day across the world, like someone whose shop is selling the exact same products. So how do you differentiate yourself? And that's where brand comes in, and particularly your professional brand. Which means you have to get creative these days. And you can't just stick with being good at your job. Because I know probably all of you are really great at your jobs, or will be when you get one, for the passport people. Now this is a great example of someone who had to get very creative. It was an Irishman who had spent some time in Australia, having fun, going on adventures, making money, had to go back to Ireland, couldn't get a job because it was pretty hard in Ireland to get a job. And so he had to get quite creative in getting a bit of attention. So he spent $2,700 on buying a billboard to then see if anyone would give him an opportunity to actually just get his foot in the door. And so it said, save me from immigration, and for more information with his email and things like that, with his CV. And it actually worked, because one, he got a lot of publicity and media attention, which then meant employers heard about it, which then meant they got in contact with him. So he actually got hundreds of emails, phone calls, and eventually got a job with Paddy Power, a gambling organisation over in Ireland. So it worked. So he made himself very remarkable. Obviously he had to make sure he could back it up when they were actually then speaking to him, that he knew what he was talking about and he was good at what he could do. But in order to get noticed in the first place, getting creative. So basically, you've all got the qualification or are working on it, got the experience or are working on it, but in order to be successful and to go to the places you want to go in your career, wherever that may be, it actually takes a little bit more. And those guys down the bottom, anyone recognise any of them as to who they might be? Just interesting in terms of what you might be reading or not reading. So that's the current group of Boss Young Executives of the Year. So there's some great interviews with them out there at the moment where you can learn from those guys as to what are their tips. And one of their tips is about being persuasive in terms of your personal brand, but also continuous learning. And that's why you're here today, I'm assuming, which is great.